Going to be another super hot day today, like another 90-degree broiler, apparently. And it's not even 9 a.m. yet, and the temperatures are already really high. It's right around, I'd say, 8:55 a.m. on Monday, June 30th, 2025. We're just about at the end of June, which is too bad. I love June. It's one of my favorite months, besides other months that I like. And just for the record, I took out the trash and recycling last night, emptied out the entire fridge, and also part of the basement because one of my family members is in the hospital and can't care for this place when they're in the hospital. I am here to do that for them. I also had approximately 3 hours of sleep last night because the neighbors on either side of this lovely condominium, Mary the dog lady who lives right there, and Tara the dog and kid lady who lives on the other side, left their units yesterday afternoon pretty audibly and visibly. They were dragging things around with them and taking things out through the back of their backyards. And they left and haven't come back. It's weird because today's Monday and most people come back from being away on Sunday night so that they can be at work on Monday morning. Last night at 2 a.m, I was literally getting smoked out of this place by somebody in Mary the dog lady's condo who was not Mary the dog lady, but acting like a really disruptive psycho and burning, smoking, and propagating sickening, overpowering amounts of cigar and marijuana smoke into this living space that were coming from the condo right there where Mary the dog lady normally lives. She's a non-smoker. She's lived there for approximately 7 years. And I have been down here enough times to know Mary the dog lady doesn't smoke and lives alone for the most part. You always know when she's around because she boards dogs. And so there's always barking dogs around when she happens to be home. I haven't heard any dogs barking anywhere from that direction for at least a day and a half now. Mary's bright red car was parked at the end of this garden area yesterday afternoon, and I could hear her dragging stuff through the backyard. She closed the gate, drove off. Same thing with Tara, the dog and kid lady next door. She left a little bit earlier yesterday afternoon and hasn't come back. Last night, all the way through 3 a.m., somebody in Mary the dog lady's condo, maybe she's renting it out in her absence, I don't know, was behaving like a psycho, violently slamming things against the wall that condo shares with this condo, and smoking marijuana and cigar smoke so intensely that at 3 a.m, I had to keep the front door propped open, which is very unsafe. You don't know who's wandering around in this corner at 3 a.m. And I was standing there with a knife because, again, you don't know who's going to suddenly show up at your front door. People could be just wandering through here at 3 a.m, see an open door, and try to take advantage. This is very strange because this is exactly the same kind of thing that keeps happening in my building up in Boston. And I've been reporting this same exact type of scenario happening in my building up in Boston for 11 years now. I have dozens of videos where I have to keep the door to my unit in my apartment up in Boston wide open and the windows open because there's someone in the vacant premises of Unit 78, which is located behind my kitchen sink and behind my bathroom, smoking, burning, and propagating the same exact sickening, overpowering, nauseating marijuana and cigar smoke from behind the wall of my kitchen sink and my bathroom up in Boston, as they were doing last night from behind the wall of Mary, the dog lady's vacant condo. Very strange because there is a group of BLM activists that are being sponsored and housed in my building up in Boston that the property manager, a Russian reported member of organized crime named Oleg Lisayev, keeps bragging that he is basically using and sponsoring to harass other tenants. Jasmine Irizarry would be one of them. Charles Thomas would be another one. Wena Rodriguez was one in the past. He physically assaulted me one night when I was coming back to the building. I didn't even know who Wena Rodriguez was, had never interacted with him before, but he came at me screaming and shouting that he had seen all the videos on my phone and that I was a crazy racist. And then he started beating me in the back of the head and tried to take my phone. BLM activist, right? I don't know him, never interacted with him, have nothing to do with him, but he has a problem with me and somehow knows that I exist. That's weird. I don't interact with anyone in my building. I don't talk to any of those lowlifes. I avoid them like the plague because they're behaviorally disturbed. It has nothing to do with skin color. I've had plenty of friends of all skin colors, shapes, and sizes throughout my entire life, having grown up in Chicago and San Diego, to prove that I'm not any kind of a skin-based racist. I have problems with people's behavior, especially when it's aggressive and violent and dysfunctional and dysregulated and psychotic, as is the behavior of most of the low-life scum sex offenders in my building. That's a fact. The property manager seems to be some sort of a Soros-sponsored or Soros-loving operative, and they deliberately cram large numbers of career criminals, sex offenders, and psychos of all kinds of varieties in the building complex where I live to destabilize the neighborhood. That's a fact. The police are constantly showing up to that building. Fire department's always showing up. There's constant disruption, screaming, shouting, blasting music from people standing on the street corners around the building complex 24/7. I mean, it's a circus. It's literally a psycho circus of psychos who don't want to fix anything about their psycho behavior. They're just criminals, and they're beyond hope because they don't seek help. I'm a big fan of people who have anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, psychosis, seeking help. That's what people do for a living, people such as myself. That's what the mental health community is there for, to help people with uncontrollable behavioral issues or psychoses or anxiety or depression that affects their entire lives to the point where they can't function. That's a clinical problem. I'm not talking about people who have, stress in the morning because they're late for work and their boss is on their case and they're about to get divorced or whatever. I mean, that's normal stuff. I'm talking about the psychotic sex offender, child molester, rapists in my building who do that blatantly as a lifestyle. So these are BLM activists. People who think that BLM is a benevolent charity who elevates the Black community are stupid and need to do their research. Candace Owens is a strong Black female who I admire and love. She made a fantastic, brilliant, spot-on documentary about how BLM are nothing but a bunch of sex offender psycho pigs who perv and creep and embezzle millions of donor dollars on prostitutes, strippers, peep show workers, and all kinds of sex-related frivolity that has nothing to do with elevating the Black community. They also make nasty comments on all of my videos that I post. I'm going to post this one just to see what kind of nasty comments come from the low-life scum named Uncle Muscle and Beat Cat and Kevin, who is actually Jason DaCosta, the sex offender who lived next door to me in 88 for 3 years. He's so stupid. He thinks that people don't know that Kevin is actually AKA Jason DaCosta, the pedophile sex offender who sits around all day whacking off to nothing and no one. I would know. I lived next to that piece of shit for 3 years. That's all he did, is loudly masturbating all day long and blasting porn movies. That is the psycho pig trash that I'm referring to. That the Greenville group's Oleg Galiseyev likes to cram in large numbers in the building complex where I have lived since way before any of these lowlifes showed up, when the tenant population was actually rent-paying, hardworking, normal people who were just looking for a affordable place to live close to public transportation. That seems to have changed, and now it's a holding pen for rapists and child molesters, career thugs, low-life scumbags, perverts, creepers, etc. And then they come down here and somehow manage to hang out in the units next to this one when the owners of those units seem to suddenly leave all at once on Sunday afternoons. That's weird. Tara's not here. She has a dog and a kid. When she's around, you know it. When Mary the dog lady's around, you know it. She's got her barking dogs with her. These people who claim to be BLM activists seem to do a Airbnb kind of situation with the owners of the units that are next to this one whenever I happen to come down here for any extended period of time. I mean, obviously, if they're BLM, then they certainly have funds to buy out owners of homes, give them a little bit of money to go stay somewhere else for a few days, right? While they engage in the same psycho pattern of harassment that they've been doing up in Boston for years. It's identical. It is the same people. No two people on this planet behave exactly alike. And Jasmine Irizarry's behavior down here is mind-blowingly identical to the behavior that she has been exhibiting in my building up in Boston for 11 years. I have 11 years of reference to compare what is going on down here now with what has been happening up in Boston, again, for 11 years. That is an insane amount of data. And as a career research scientist with 18 years of solid scientific master's level published research under my belt, I can say that the same person who's been bragging about how she gets paid to do what she's doing up in Boston in my building by Oleg Eliseyev, the property manager who's paying her or sponsoring her, is now down here and isn't shy about letting me know that that is exactly what she's doing. Yeah.